Hello and welcome to the Way of the Illuminated Warrior Global Summit. My name is Waska, also known as Perry Finkelstein, and it gives me great pleasure to be bringing this series to you and hosting a group of really wonderful individuals who have the intention to share their wisdom and their knowledge, their stories and their experiences with you to help to heal and to grow and to find your truest, highest potential. So I'm really excited to introduce my guest today. His name is Gustavo Gil, and he's an evolutionary catalyst of the emerging paradigm serving humanity to integrate our wholeness. He's from Colombia, where his roots exist, and he grew up in New York City, and eventually he weaved across the ocean from California to Kauai and back again. Gustavo has journeyed not only across many continents, but into the heights and depths of his own being to gain a level of self-mastery that allows him now to offer his own alchemical transmission of presence. And that comes through the medicine of awareness. He facilitates the awakening individuals into their evolutionary healing, integrating and remembering their inherent sovereignty and divinity on a cellular level. I could go on and on and on about this young, beautiful, emboldened man who's going to share his wisdom. So for now, I will just say, welcome, my friend and brother, Gustavo.
Thank you, Waska. I'm
Yeah.
super happy to be here. That was a lovely presentation. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, there's a
Yeah,
lot more to share. And
yeah.
I love your story. I love where you came from. I love what you've gone through. And I love the evolution of who you are today, because we've sat together, actually had a beautiful lunch yesterday and got to touch each other's hearts. And I want the audience to feel what I felt to get to know you a little bit today in our time together. So why don't we start off with you just telling a bit about your story, like how you started out as a young boy and up through your evolution, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I like to always touch upon going back to being in Colombia. I grew up in Colombia. I was there until I was 12 years old. And basically, I went through a small, difficult time. You know, it was challenging because my parents had to come to the United States, and we were left to be cared by our grandmother. And so then we came to the United States, but that was 2 years later. Um, and so that was started my journey of coming from a very beautiful culture of that is Colombia. The values of family are really really deep in there and rich and community. And then we were faced to come to here to the United States, where I felt uh, New York City being very cold and disconnected. So that was like my first, one difficult experience of like moving from one country to another, not having the language and being thrown to a school where most everyone spoke English and not Spanish. And so that was, going that change definitely made a big impact on how I felt. Um, and then I came, while being here, it was a very different lifestyle. From I had a lot of family there, and then here it was just my mom, my dad. We came from, it's interesting because we came from a family. We were very well off in Colombia, and then my parents lost everything, and they had to come to the United States to make a better life. But they went through a crisis, and we had a lot of great things. We had houses, cars, and family, and even a mate, and all of these great things. And then we went from that to basically losing everything, and it was a really traumatic experience for us, and we didn't really know what was going on as much, because we were little. Maybe I have a brother too, so he's younger than me. So long story short, we come to the States. The lifestyle is different. We got into being in an apartment. It was cold. We came on a winter. And so that's one part of the story that shaped who I am today. Basically, when I came here, we started participating in the Christian church. We haven't been a strong religious background, but I was definitely my mom was more inclined to being in the Christian church. I would say that I had an experience. I was, since a very early age, I had a knowing of why I was here. And so that's a key piece there, is that I had, especially when I hit 12, 13, I kind of, nothing was making sense in the world. I was like, this is odd. I felt out of place. I had a recollections that it just didn't make sense to me. And so I felt that way. So here we are, we're in a Christian church when I was 12, 13, and the pastors were praying upon people, and they were saying about clearing karmic tides and things like that. So that was I had an epiphany at that point, where I was just 13 years old, and I had this knowing, I had this like sincere, heartfelt knowing that I was here to clear the ancestral lineage, that I was here to not carry the burdens or the limitations and the things that were passed down through generations. And so that made me realize that I had a gift, that I had an understanding at a very early age. And the pastors came on and they prayed, and I felt basically purified. I felt the presence of spirit, and I felt pretty purified and renewed, and almost like rebirthed. Like I felt like I rebirthed it. And so that was pretty remarkable at that time. That was the beginning remembrance of my true nature, of why am I here.
Just the awakening, because it takes many of us decades, if not more, of lifetimes sometimes to get that voice in our ears or in our hearts or in our souls to awaken and ask those questions and seek what is the higher purpose of being here. So I love your story and the way you started off, obviously in a different land, in a different culture, in a different language. And then, I've lived all my life in New York. So I totally could relate to, especially being in the city. It's a very different paradigm, if you will. It's a very different way of being. It's a very frenetic energy for the most part. And just to adapt to that and integrate into it is a challenge in itself, I will say. So that being said, the higher realms as a young man that you've really grown into fascinate me, and the work that you're doing. So let's speak a little bit about that. So you have this awareness, you've embodied a number of different practices that you've shared with me. So share with the audience a little bit of like, what are some of these practices that you do on a regular basis, and how have they helped you in your own personal development?
I felt like I had the desire to feel more connected and find greater purpose. So I became a seeker. So that's the first thing. I actually was a seeker for many, many years. And after right out of college, take it back, move it forward, and we'll probably go back to like childhood and all of that. But moving forward to, I went to school. I went to high school here, then college. I did a Bachelor of Arts, music teaching and arts, and then went to a music conservatory. So I have a background in the arts. So what got me to be connected to my essence and my soul was to move through the arts, to stay in the arts. So I was definitely tuned into music, and I wanted to do that more than anything. Not a lot of other things made sense. So I was very clear of what I liked and what I didn't like. But then there was the aspect of survival and the harsh of the city and the adaptation from one culture to the other, and the language, and basically adopting new sets of beliefs and new ways of being. And so this is going to be interesting, because all of this and my travels around different cultures and different places in the world has helped me really become more universal, to create a sense of unity that comes from basically dissolving certain beliefs that limits my capacity to feel connected to others. So that's what I help people with too, is to move through belief systems that might be blocking their ability to embrace life and really feel connected and alive in the moment. And so it's a very like right on in the moment experience. So that's kind of one piece of what I do for myself, and the reason that became a strong value for me, a strong desire, was because of my experiences with travel and different communities and different things, and how I saw conflicts and challenges and difficulties in those communities and cultures. And so I always look at the bigger pictures, like, oh, I'm here to bring more love in the planet, and I'm here to feel more connected. And why there's so much suffering? I would ask that question, like, it's like everyone is just struggling and so much pain. And so I had these questions at a very early age. So going back to even my own suffering and my own pain, like I had to go through a challenging childhood. Even though it was beautiful, there was definitely some pain points where I went through abuse and trauma, and it was very difficult. It's different now. My parents, are different people, which is beautiful. So I have a beautiful relationship to them right now. But that was a mark from childhood, a certain degree, of exposed to aggression and things like that, which is common in the culture. So as I like to share this because it's actually a common theme in third world countries, or especially South America or Central America. It's ingrained, it's normalized. So as I started understanding that as I changed from one culture to the other, there's different beliefs on how you raise children. And so I have a child right now. I'm a father of a child, and I still find that I'm going through clearing, and as I stay in my core values and beliefs, I have to dissolve the things that are not in alignment to my integrity. This ties to the evolutionary process because I like to speak to this teaching. This is part of the tool. One of the tools is to understand that we're in an evolutionary process, and that we can 100% change a foundation that's not longer serving, or life, not even that we have that power, but life will conspire where things are not longer serving. It will start dissolving things at the core level, so that we can receive a new information and a new set of possibilities to actually become something greater. And so that is what I call being present to your evolution. And so I have a way like to dissect and to open people up to the space when where one can open up to that possibility, and then start really listening to that deeper alignment and deeper even knowing. It's at a soul level, where one can connect to that awareness, and then they could start creating life from that space of being true to themselves.
You touched upon a number of really good things. I think many of us, if not most of us or all of us, at some point have experienced some type of trauma, whether it's emotional, physical, whatever that may be, and it pretty much stems from our childhoods. The things that happen, it's environmental, but it's also, the whole conversation between nature and nurture. And a lot of the things we don't even necessarily consciously remember, but they do manifest throughout our lives. The saying, emotions buried alive never die. So things will come up throughout our lives. So having that awareness of knowing that there are other ways, there are choices, there are healing modalities that we can do. We ask those questions. Hey, how can I heal? How can I feel a little bit more whole and holistic and healthier? So that's why the things that you're teaching are really wonderful, and for your own personal development, but also to offer it for others, which is great. And I love you spoke about the music, music is a universal language, whether you're from Colombia, or you're from New York, or you're from Mars. I mean, music. I will quote Frank Zappa here. Information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom is not truth. Truth is not beauty. Beauty is not love. And love is not music. Music is the best. Rest in peace, Frank.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And so
music is a vibrational way of healing. So I don't know if you've had experience with that. If so, if you'd like to speak a little bit about that with sound healing and vibrational healing.
Yeah. Well, basically, I do have some audio sounds that I am developing for the future, but I do use some techniques of frequency that I listen to that really takes my nervous system to neutral. So there's one of those things I could induce that state with people by creating a safe environment. But I'll get to the tools. What I want to say is that it's a process, getting people into this awareness of feeling more connected, facing our traumas, really being with the discomfort, the pain, understanding it, or moving towards not only moving through discomfort, but getting into a space of positive sensation. And so I'm speaking to my teaching, and the teaching is basically is a guiding force. I call it the intelligence of life that guides everything into health, sustainability, vitality, um, basically more life force, more connection to your heart and soul. And so I speak to that process. So basically what happened, going back to the timeline of the teachings, I graduated from college. I could have taught, I could have gone back and teach more of music, and I was performing. I had a Latin jazz band. So I love all of that. And then I had this deeper calling to go into like more holistic, meaning I went and did a training in coaching and transformational experiential work. Then when I felt that, I knew that experiential is the way to really acquire greater wisdom, because we embody wisdom and understanding through going through the experiences of life. So then I became devoted for 12 years up until now to fully dive into experiential learning. And so that entails the holistic practices like energy healing, modalities like qigong. I became a qigong instructor for about 5-6 years, and I started teaching. I would go into this amazing tours where we're doing breath work with 200-300 people at the same time. And so those led me to fine tune my abilities to deliver something and be a teacher. And it's always an ongoing process. I am very humble to share that I'm always a student. I'm always learning. I try not to use the word mastery, although we can master something. In order to keep on growing and evolving, we want to be always with the eyes of discovery. Like I'm always discovering, I'm always in that space, always allowing myself to receive what the gift, I call it. And one of my tips of wisdom or a golden nugget is that I can give to the audience here is what is the gift of this right now? What is the gift? And so it's beautiful to say that, because then we are choosing to be empowered. We're not a victim. We're not choosing to be a victim of the circumstances or our environment or people. We're just saying, oh, there's something for me to see here, so that I could choose and consciously choose something that will give me the perspective to create something that's empowering out of this situation. And so that is the magic of saying, what is the gift of now? What is the gift of this experience? I feel that every person has a very unique evolutionary story. And I get super passionate about hearing that, because there's always hidden information or insights within the journey that adds up to a greater possibility of becoming. So there's an orchestration that is happening in the storyline, that if you really pull out all the goodness out of it, and all if you see it all as divine, that's the spiritual approach. If we could see it that way, if we, that's not for everyone, not everyone chooses to see it that way, then we can find the silver lining that is guiding us to really create a greater masterpiece per se. As an artist, if you want to look at from the eyes of as an artist, or someone who is in leadership, I call it leadership, because if you take responsibility and you're not victim to your circumstances, then you could make and craft something out of what's being given to you, out of the challenges, the life that gets thrown at you, like, oh, what do I do with this? Then you shape something out of it. So my point being is that I really became very devotional to transformational work. I had touched upon many different esoteric experiences. I now keep it more grounded. I feel like the medicine of the wisdom that comes through is to the work, and the healing and the evolution happens when we're fully in our body and when we're grounded in our body. And so I learned to understand that, because I realized that one of my healings, one of my personal healings was that I was using spirituality as a crutch. So I was coping. Like I did a lot of Kundalini yoga, and then I find myself, after all of this and having coaching certifications, I did a life mastery training, and it was all great. And I was teaching and I was doing coaching circles and all of that. I realized that I was like a wounded healer. I was helping others, but I was healing myself in the process. What I wasn't doing, what I was not fully including myself in the healing. What's different now is that now I realize that we are all in a collective evolutionary healing together. That is my insight. And so I learned to have more compassion and more empathy for other people's suffering, because in essence, we're all in this together. We're helping each other elevate in consciousness. For those who are willing to and desire it, not everyone is at that that point of awakening, because they might be so disconnected from all of it, or checked out, or numbed, or disassociated. They created a disassociation between reality and their pain that hasn't been resolved. And then I got invited to do this workshop in Kauai. So I go to Kauai, and basically I was really faced to slow down and look at go internally. So I was basically, I get to Kauai, and by everything that was happening, I was forced to pay attention and basically become more balanced. So what that means was that I was pushing in life, and then Kauai and the island of Kauai and everything that happened there allow me to slow down, to really listening to my own pain, the deeper pain that I was feeling, that I wasn't really allowing myself to feel up until that point. And so my other awakening with that is that I was actually using techniques and yoga techniques and all of that to escape my own pain. And so there's always a balance. So what I'm saying here is that there's greatness, and definitely it's so good to use these tools of breath and movement and consciousness and yoga. It's not only about transcending or transmuting or moving through, but it's also about resolving the unresolved through being present to it. And also, what I discover is that it doesn't have to always be that painful. What I discover is that it could actually feel good.
That was wonderful. You made some really great points about being present, about being in the now, because really that's all we have is the now. When we think about things of the past, usually it's about worrying about them or bringing things up that really don't serve anymore. And the future is not guaranteed, really. So the only thing we really truly have is the present moment, to be here, to be focused on what we're doing right now, not having our minds in a million different places, having what they call that monkey mind, but being present with what we're doing. Sitting in front of somebody, having a conversation, looking at them in the eyes and listening. God has gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So let's listen to what the other person has to say. Let's not be thinking about, what do I have to do at work, or what am I going to say when this person is interrupting, any of that stuff. Just be in the moment and just absorb the energy of that moment and the beauty of that moment, whatever that is. So that's a really powerful teaching, which you spoke about, being in the moment. Also the challenges and staying in balance. I look at life as the challenges continue, and that's just the way it is. And they're opportunities for growth. They really are. And for me, I look at them that way, and I do continually expand my consciousness, expand my growth. I've raised 3 boys. I teach them by example, and they get it, which is a testament to that this stuff really does work. So it's being in the moment, it's being balanced. And the other thing you were talking about is choices. We all have choices. We all have choices that we can make from the time that we wake up in the morning. You could choose to wake up and be like, I love you day, you know, really, and just embrace the day and just say, hey, this is a great day to be alive. I woke up, I could do whatever it is I need to do. I could be in service, I could love, I could laugh, I could whatever you choose to do with that day, or you could wake up, oh, this sucks, you know, which, you know, it's a choice. So I say, aho to that. Let's choose love and let's choose light and let's see where it takes us, because I know, you know, bro, and I know that that choice is the one that heals us, the one that brings happiness, the one that brings joy, and the one that's going to heal the world for those of us who choose to embody it. So, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes. And so it is that I'm with you fully on that. So, having shared all of that, regardless of the tools, modalities, what I learn is throughout that process is to know myself and how I bring my gift out. So I come to an understanding that all of that journey of devotional practice of transformational modalities is taking me to really understand that we all have a very unique gift that we're giving. And for me, that has become, it is my belief and my also knowing in my heart and soul that that guiding force and that guided awareness of our gift is what's making the world a better place, because it's basically the intelligence of life that's orchestrating and giving life and bringing innovation and possibility for sustainability. And so when I do that for myself, like right now, I'm so honored and grateful that I could do this and share this truth that is for me. There's many others that will resonate with this, as I'm finding that there's a lot more people in this path. And what my gift is in it is to be able to articulate this gift and bring it out fully from at the core level from someone. And what that requires is to clear it, and it's done through a shift in paradigm, through bringing new concepts, shifting our perspective, and some perceptions that might be blocking our ability to feel deeper and feel deeper connection to life. In some traditions, they will call it, it's almost like tantric, because it's like you're so connected, you're almost like making love to life. And so that is deeply fulfilling, because how can you be a spiritual person and also you honor your human existence, your human experience, and feel good about it? And so that is the gift that wants to be given, that I come to realize. And my strategy with that, again, is to be able to bring this gift out from people and really help them articulate it. At an art form, it's like everyone has such a unique calling. Well, how do we get you to bring it fully out and voice it? And so the outcomes of that and what I'm being experiencing by honoring that calling in myself is deeper fulfillment, vitality. I feel super connected and alive. I feel more joy, and I feel like I'm living my dharma. So basically, it's fully in alignment. It's moving me towards my future. It's in the now. It's all being, it's unfolding in the now, and it's such a beautiful space. And some people call it masterful, because when you really get grounded in presence, and you could speak from that space, then there's no fear of the past or the future. You're fully connecting to source, the divine, the eternal, life. The truth of life is that life is here to support us and to hold us. And yet there is so many distortions. So thanks to, again, my background of all this healing work and the teachings, I come to realize that in essence, we are being held by life, but because of the programming, this goes deeper than my family. This is like generations and cultural conditioning and social conditioning, where we have been conditioned to believe that the disassociation, that we are disconnected from life, that in order to feel connected, we need to feel worthy somehow. We need to earn it when it's actually given to us. by our birthright. The connection is given to us by our birthright, but because it's so ingrained in the programming of our mothers, our fathers, the culture, then we feel like we're not worthy of that connection. There's the dogmatic imprints of right, wrong, good, bad. All of that creates a storyline in our mind that blocks the ability for us to fully connect to our source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, great point, great point. It's like a remembering who we are, what we're here to do, what our divine purpose is. And I know some of the vital work that you do is with cellular memory and healing past wounds and traumas. So maybe
Indeed.
you'd like to speak a little bit about that and how that work.
Yeah, so I noticed that as I've been facilitating people in my path, mentorship, I, I, in a very gentle, simple way, I can hold the space. It's like I create a safe space where people can feel trust, and then the way that works is a somatic process through guiding the mind and also allowing the mind to drop into the body, which means that no longer your ego mind is in control. You get to the unconscious or subconscious, which some people will call it, where you go into your body, and the intelligence of life will take on and start moving like a wave to address where there is a contraction or where the life is not coming through the system. So that's just not, I'm only a facilitator of this awareness. You know, I don't call myself like I'm doing this per se. I just create the space and the environment for this to be activated in the people's bodies. And then once it gets in the bodies, it gets in your nervous system. So there's a process that I do very naturally. I do it again through presence, and I do it through creating a space for it. I do have other tools that I might bring for people to help them go deeper. So deeper meaning there is a state in the nervous system where you can actually reset your whole nervous system and your body to feel rested. So one tool, if I were to just give someone a little like nugget of like a tool that I use for myself is called the biomat. Amethyst biomat. And that, so you know, for anyone who's on this call, like that's an amazing tool to have. It really clears your whole energy, your whole body. If anyone is familiar with energetic work, it just clears you, and then it resets your nervous system. I take it a layer deeper with what I do, but this is like a good starting point. I've been using it for 5 years. It keeps my energy clear and grounded. And it, you know, if you talk about transmuting, it just clears all the energy that we haven't processed throughout the day. It clears it out, and then it's like taking a shower almost, you know, it's an energetic maintenance. So going back to the process of the deeper work or the traumas, is the person needs to choose that. They need to have the desire to do so. And so that then that gateway opens up where we could go deeper. So I like to invite people to that space, and then there is something that unfolds naturally for that to occur. So the traumas and all of that is not forced, it's actually invited when the person feels safe and they have the environment where their body feels safe. So a lot of the imprints and the traumas are memories, their beliefs, you know, at one level. They're in our how we feel, our perception of the world, and they're also it was due to a trauma when we didn't feel safe, maybe from childhood, and we created a contraction. The body contracts. So the body is a biological organism, and when it's threatened because of aggression or something, it will contract. And so what we want to rewire at the cellular level, like you said, is the thought process and the distortion that had occurred when that happened, that trigger or that trauma. And so that blocks the vitality that's available here now to move through when we have a distortion or a perception that basically is coming from a belief that we're not safe.
Myself, on my healing journey, I've been practicing shamanic ways for a long time now, and I find for me that they work. Like you talked about the amethyst biomat, you can see I have an amethyst back here, and I don't just keep these things around me. Like, I have a little quartz wand here, which I use for healing. I have my hawk feather, which is one of my totems. You can see in the background I have two white feathers here because that's my spirit guide. So I choose to surround myself with whatever you would like to call them. They're totems, they're power objects that make me feel really healthier, more whole in what I'm doing. Do I need them? No, I don't need them. The yoga, the qigong, the tai chi, kundalini, the activations, I love it all, and it's helped me personally grow. It's helped a lot of different people personally grow. Do we all need that? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But these are all tools that folks like yourself and again, I use them, a lot of practitioners use them, and we offer them to other people just to be able to reach a place that maybe is not being reached, to find that release of the traumas, right?
Oh,
To
yeah.
find the
Oh, yeah.
and so they're great tools to be to have offered to our viewers here. You don't have to go out, you don't have to figure any of this stuff out. You could just hang with your brothers here, and we offer that kind of stuff to to bring more awareness into what is possible, because we do need to remember who we are, what we're here for. We're not here to work our butts off to get 2 weeks vacation and to be miserable every day, and to wake up bitching and moaning about this person and this job and this life, and I feel like we're here to enjoy. We're here to be in service. We're here to love. We're here to laugh. We're here to spread joy and to make a significant difference on this earth plane. And that's what we are about. My brother Gustavo, myself, and all the light workers who are going to be on this summit. That's our intention, is to offer different ways, different healing modalities, and different ways of thinking that will help you to see these things that we've seen and we've embodied, and that we're loving life. We want that for all of you folks. So yeah.
Yeah, so I do want to acknowledge, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. I'm with you 100% that I'm not acknowledging the value of the tools. So I try to, I say tools are great because, people, like I expressed at the beginning of this conversation, is that everyone has different ways to tap into something that makes them feel good. So whatever that is, could be many different ways and environments. I speak about environment because different environments bring different things out from people. And what I suggest is that people follow their bliss, follow their immediate joy. What is your moment joy? Whether if it's movement, a song, things like that are simple, and that opens up, builds momentum and opens up something for that individual to feel that joy and feel inspiration. So the goal here is to get them to get into how do you become inspired, not motivated, because motivation, I need someone to motivate me. I'm lazy, tired. Please help me. We're giving people the tools to become self-referential, self-aware, to have the inside out desire and fuel to do what they want to do, because they desire it. They have a calling, they have a longing, they have the impulses there from within themselves.
Yeah.
And so I'm more internal. I was a hermit for years. I was just keeping it to myself, and then I would go out and in, but I'm more so of a hermit more than an external person. I make sure that I honor my process. So how do I get, you asked how do I get from there to here, is I just got to listen more of honoring my path. I'm being true to myself. I shared with you on our sharing yesterday that my past relationship helped me find my autonomy, because I was compromising my autonomy. I think for the brothers there that are listening, this is for males and females, but there's a common theme in relationship to others, that sometimes we compromise our autonomy, our sovereignty, our integrity, because we want to be loved, which is part of the wound. We're not finding our own love connection to the divine and ourselves, and then we actually end up giving away and compromising our integrity to receive love. And that's we share a little bit about that. That was my teaching 5 years ago, and now I'm in this very powerful space of men with a son, really owning my autonomy and moving forward and helping everyone. Say, hey, not only that you could heal, but now you could claim your autonomy, your integrity. You could be a righteous leader in the world who's claiming values, and you're taking a stand for your core values, and you're making a difference in the planet. And so that is the possibility when you do this work. And then sometimes, it's challenging because we have to deal with our own struggle, our own belief system of limitation and lack and survival, which is so ingrained in the culture. So what we're healing, when they say healing, is just a shift in perception. And then there's a healing at the physical, emotional, because we realize that we've been compromising our divinity, our birthright to be abundant and prosperous. And so we realize, wow, the whole world is made up of lack, limitation, and struggle and survival. And now we're people that are leading, and way showers, people like us are leading the way to basically say, no, we adopted this, and this has been the reality, but life is birthing through us, life is moving through us, saying, no, there's other ways, there's other ways that are more sustainable and more harmonious for the world. And so besides being light workers or bringing light and love, we're actually using our mind to create a new template, a new program, the higher mind that's going to create a language or a set of beliefs that it's going to bring more abundance and more harmony and more love and more goodness to our life. That is our birthright. And so if we adopt that value, our whole life can be transformed. So if someone were to work with you, Waska or me, that's what they could
absolutely
get. That's what they could get. And so, that's my inspiration flowing through, like being that voice for the collective, and the change. So I bring it back to the healing. And so it's important to do the trauma and all of that, but it's also the dance, right? We go back, we go internal, and then we go into the masculine of like, let's take some actions where we feel inspired, where we feel joy, where we feel connected. And then even that action starts rewiring talk about the cellular part. So the coaching aspect of this is like, you do take these actions, then we will start rewiring our patterning that was so ingrained from childhood, based on lack, limitation, survival, lack of love. And then the listening going inwards is vital to listening to our needs, because sometimes we realize that we have neglected some needs that were nourished. And this is very common. I don't only share my story. This is something that everyone that I know, that I work with, has struggled with. Like, oh, you know what? I had a need, and my mom and dad didn't hear me. They didn't understand that I had this need, and they just were projecting their own belief on the child. You and I had this conversation that children have their own ideas, and they have their own truth. And if anything, they're teaching us, right?
As well they should, yes.
Yeah. So then the not listening to a need creates the coping, and then we're coping, and then we're not really living our potential. So we at the beginning of this conversation we spoke about potential. When we don't address the deeper layers, that pattern will keep on repeating. So it starts looping. It will loop in their lives for a long time until we fully address it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I like what you were speaking about there, and a lot of the work that I do with with the group of boys and men that I work with is, it's so important to find that authenticity of who you really are. Like, I know I grew up, I was very, very introverted and shy, and I kept my voice very, very much inside, and didn't speak my truth until really later on in life, which growing up in an alcoholic family, and I don't say that as a bad thing. I got my lessons from that. I loved, as my dad would pretty much drank every day. He loved me in the best way he could, and I loved him. But there were challenges, of course, along the way with that. I had to find my own voice and open up my throat chakra. And once I started doing that, it caused a lot of discourse within my family, because that's not who I was. That's not what my role was. And I broke out of that, and I evolved into who I was supposed to be, being authentically who I am. And even to this day, it's not the easiest to be able to speak my truth, because other people don't necessarily want to hear that. And I do add the caveat which I teach the guys also, speak your truth with compassion, because just saying anything you want to say and just putting it out there is not necessarily serving anyone, you know. So speak your truth with compassion. And the second part is, with authenticity, is being autonomous, you know, which they go hand in hand. You really find your true calling and your true self when you could stand alone, naked in front of everybody, metaphor, or if you choose to do that in reality, fine, power to
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah.
But really, not worrying about the peer pressure that, especially when we're younger, we go through, and you know, you could get bullied from, or you just go with it, even as an older, you know, person, an older guy. I see some of my friends, and I love my friends. I'm not calling anybody out, but, you know, don't do that because he's doing it or because they're doing it. You know, stand in your truth, stand in who you are, and put your beliefs out there. And if people don't align with them, that's fine. You know, that's okay. And one of the elders and mentors that I learned a lot of wisdom ways from is, you know, you want to help people, you want to share your knowledge and experiences, and some people are just not open to that, and they're just going to be, you know, adverse to that, and they're going to be energy vampires and suck your energy out and want to take from you, and they're just going to talk at you and not listen and not open to whatever. That's okay. Don't waste your energy, because it is a waste of your energy, it's depleting you, on people like that. Give them a pillow, let them go back to sleep, and align yourself with the people who are awake. Like, that's how I connected with you and some of the other brothers, and share, evolve, raise the vibration, and then share that with others who are open to being on the same vibrational healing ways, and together, hopefully more of the ones who are asleep will see this and get it, you know, through the ethers or however way, and we're there for them either way. And that's, you know, that's the being autonomous, that's being authentic, and that's living your true purpose, which is really what we're both saying, and a really divine purpose that we want to help everyone with.
Oh, absolutely. This is really exciting to hear, and we're on the same page, brother. So thank you, Waska. Super powerful. We're affirming this in prayer, in words. Words have power. You know, words create our reality. This our feelings, our you know, what we say, and what we're saying here creates a new template, which is what we're saying. This is the new way, and there's teachings along the way to get to this space. So I wanna kind of complement what you're saying with. I notice a natural process that has happened in my own evolution, where I learned to be grounded, to speak my truth. Notice that because I am a seer, I see through people. I realized that I was an empath, which is a key thing that I share. You know, being a child, I came to a family where they didn't get that I was an empath, and you know, like it was hard and all of that. And then going back to how that's important. I lost my train of thought here because I was going to go back to a piece.
Be in the
Owning my
moment,
truth.
my brother, be in the moment.
Yes. But I was going somewhere, and then it took me somewhere else. So, owning my truth, where it's been a natural progression, where I learned to listen to when I'm invited, because people clearly see that I see them. And so sometimes people are uncomfortable with getting the reflection of where they are. So meaning my whole discovery of my gift has led me to become more discerning, and more of the having more clarity when I could give my gift, or when I'm supposed not to say anything, and hold the presence. I call it being presence, because some people are not ready to face the reflections that are there through presence. And either you could uplift them in beauty and light, but my natural ability is like, oh, this is just so neutral that it just shows people where they are. And some people don't want to see beyond the mask that's being put, or the illusion, like, oh, it's all great, you know, but in reality they're feeling what's underneath, you know, and they're trying to make it seem like it's okay. Like you said, it's like you speak your truth, and it needs to be with compassion. It needs to be with listening ears, where you're actually. Let's speak about compassion. Compassion is something that's developed nowadays. A lot of people throw compassion, and in order to have compassion, we need to understand and be empathetic of someone else's suffering. And we actually need to understand their suffering to actually be compassionate. And so people who have had wounds like you and I, or deep trauma or pain in our lives, uh, could be more empathetic, because like you could sit here with a brother or a sister and say, yeah, I gone through that, I get it, so that the empathy, the connection established, because we know that we can relate. And so that's compassion for me, versus just saying I'm compassionate. It's like, I get it, because I have the same feeling or pain that you have gone through.
Yeah,
And so, yes, that's key to establish kind of like a meeting point. This information for the audience is speaking right now is very transformational, and any concept of this could be life changing for anyone, right there out there. So, there's no levels. So for whoever who's in this audience today, there's no levels or anything. It's just because the mind will start comparing. This is advanced or not. The practice of compassion includes just meeting people, and we're all of it together, and how can we help each other rise. And so it's important to know that even though I might appear as an expert in a field, it's just embodied wisdom that comes through life experiences, but more so is that we're all here to help each other, and you could be served anywhere you are in your own journey. And so,
good point. And like my Lakota brothers and sisters say, Matakuyasin, we are all related. We're all relatives. So yes, we're all in the same playing field, so to speak. So, just to add to what you were saying about invitations and generosity, Brother Gustavo has a beautiful gift that he's going to be offering to the viewers here. So if you would like to share a little bit about your free gift, it would be great.
It's a 30-minute consultation where we could really go into a soul dive and change things and move things around with everything that I share. So if you resonate with any of this, basically you'll have a chance to open up some doorways, make some shifts in perspective and perception. You could have a breakthrough. If you're ready for that, we could go there. If you're ready for deep transformation, wherever you are in your journey, I can help you. Sign up. It's a 30-minute consultation with me, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that generous offering, Gustavo. And just to wrap up, I like to ask everyone, looking back now at who you are in this moment, through all your growth and through all the process of healing and transformation that you went through, looking back at little Gustavo and the trials and tribulations and challenges you went through, what would you say to him now? What do you want to say to your younger self that could be, healing in that moment?
That's beautiful. I actually have this vision that I've been doing is like I've been holding myself. Like I see this little Gustavo, and all I've been doing for the past 3 years is holding him with so much love. And for me, is that safety. And it's also, it's just so beautiful. So for me, is like, it's a physical thing that I'm doing. There's not necessarily much that I'm saying. I'm just holding that little Gustavo. If that little Gustavo was in doubt that he wasn't living his purpose, he's fully like the big Gustavo saying, "Oh yeah, you're doing it," because that is the fear. So getting more into it, there's a fear of not being able to fulfill that mission or that purpose, and now like there's the connection between Big Gustavo and Little Gustavo saying, yeah, you're doing it. It's happening. And that is so fulfilling and so rich on its own. I mean, I could just do this all day and be happy.
Yeah, I know you can, bro. Well, that's awesome. I love young Gustavo, medium-sized Gustavo, medium to large, all sizes, all ages, all presence of Gustavo. So
Thank you.
We could talk all day, and we will offer the audience again another time together. So, any brief closing words of wisdom you like to share?
I want to thank you, brother Waska. It's been great. I mean, I just went with the flow. This is an amazing interview. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for being of service to bring in this to the world. and to really saying yes to this. It's a big endeavor, and for getting out of your own way or stories to just be of service. So I appreciate you, and I feel great about the impact that this is going to have for people.
Thank you.
I'm going to be touched by this, so thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, my brother. And it was a pleasure sharing this time with you today. And so we will reconvene again at a later date. So yeah. So I would just want to remind everybody to click on the link that's going to come with this video and connect with Gustavo, download his free gift because it's a wonderful offering, and connect with him. You see today his open heart and all the beautiful gifts that he's offering. So please continue to tune in to the Way of the Illuminated Warrior series. We got some other wonderful mindful experts coming up to share their wisdom and knowledge. And until then, be kind to each other, be well, and illuminate your path with loving kindness. Aho.